All right, I'm Lynn Cuddy-Gall, as I said. I'm one of the co-leads on this project. And in response to the interest in the new results form, we decided to give this additional webinar. So I appreciate everyone carving out a little bit of their time. Some of you are probably already on your winter holiday. So I want to turn this over to Ronnie. We only have a half hour for this meeting. So if you have questions that you want to follow up with us, please send us an email to the nrs@usda.gov and we will respond. Ronnie, I'm going to share my screen, or not share, sorry, I will share the ability to share with you. And then I'm just going to turn it over to you.
All right, that sounds great. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, they've decided right now that it's the right time to blow leaves right outside my apartment window. So I apologize for that noise in the background if anybody can hear it. But hi, I'm Ronnie Young. I'm working on this team as the UX UI designer. I may have spoken to some of you either offline about a variety of different things. But the thing we'll go over today, as Lynn said, is the results flow. So what does that look like? Where do you find the results to put on a project or a program? And then how do you do it? What I'll be showing today is just some pictures, basically, as we're in the progress or about to start the development of this. So nothing interactive today, but it'll look like it. So I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen. All right, as I said, this is the step-by-step progress of where to find results and then how to add to them. So first off, we're going to start on the projects and programs page. You'll remember we kind of debuted this last week as the newly updated projects and programs page, just giving us the ability to scale such that we can add more and more of those filters. So you can filter and change the program listings however you might need to give everybody a lot more flexibility. So to look at results, we're going to click on one of these projects, and that'll take us to the project's detail page. So it's a little bit different than it does right now. We're kind of pushing towards this structure just to tidy up the page a little bit, make it a little bit easier to read and make use of the horizontal space as well as the vertical space. But what I do want to bring your attention to is this drop-down box right here where it says results. So if you have a project or a program that has the ability to have results, so it's submitted, all the approved and everything, this box that says results will appear here. And so if you don't have any in there, this amount will say 0, but for the purposes of this, we'll say it has 1 in it currently. To view the results, all you do is click this little drop down and it'll open up this box here. Trying to make it big enough so everybody can see it. Any of the results that are putting in either multiple over the course of the year or even in past years, any results that were inputted related to this project or program will be viewed from this table right here. So you can see what the status is and when it was submitted. So let's say if we wanted to see what it would look like if we didn't have anything in there, you would just, hold on, to scroll down. It would just say, no results added, and then you just have that add results button. And so that's where you would go. We'll get there in a second, but what I first want to show, scroll back up, is how do you view the inside of the results? So how do you view what the text that was submitted and what does that look like? And how do you edit it, or how do you go back and change it if you wanted to? So that would be on this view details button right here. So if we click on that, scroll over here, this is the view that you will have for this to view that result. And so basically what this is called is a modal. It'll just sit on top of the page. I like to think of it as you're taking a rest stop on the highway of the journey of the experience. So just a little off to the side thing, just so you can see everything that's going on, the project and program that it relates to, and then the 4 questions that I believe Lynn sent out of what will be answered for each of those results, as well as an optional comments box. This one was submitted, so all you're seeing down here at the bottom is an edit button. But let's say you had submitted a draft version of it and you wanted to go back and edit that draft, you would have an edit button, but then on this page, you'd also have like a submit button in case, you finished it enough, it looks good, and you needed to send it off and didn't want to go through the whole thing of going back through the form. To close this off, you'll just click the X button there and it'll take you back, close that modal and take you back to this page here. Now to add a result, the most important thing, clicking this add result button here. This add result will take you all the way, follow this line, over to this page here. So this is the form where you will be able to add the content for that particular result for that particular issue. Up at the top here, you'll see organization, project, program, primary, critical issue. So you know exactly what you're writing the result for. You'll be able to add a title here. You can make it whatever you want, just kind of an open text field. So I know some people like to copy just the project and program title exactly and just put that there. You can do that. You can change it to, be referential to what's going on in the comments boxes. Select your fiscal year, and then you'll have these 4 boxes to answer those 4 questions. It'll be 8,000 characters instead of 10,000, but it'll operate exactly the way it does today. I just might have gotten the number wrong in my mockups. So these 4 questions will be required to submit, as well as having a title and a fiscal year. And on this form here, you're able to add, we have to add another comments box. So totally optional, but it's like anything that doesn't fit within those 4 questions, but you still wanted to add as context, you're more than welcome to do that here. But let's say that, you need to add a result because you need to have a result for this year for this particular project or program. But let's say it's last year and the pandemic just hit. And the program that you were doing with like the Girl Scouts or 4-H or something you're not able to do that anymore because you can't meet in person. So we have this checkbox here that we're allowing called nothing significant to report. And that's just a method of allowing you to technically submit a report, but also just kind of talk about what happened in the year if you maybe don't have enough information to fill out all 4 of these questions like you might want to. So clicking that checkbox will change the page a little bit to this. So you'll have a title here. It'll kind of pre-populate the title as nothing significant to report, which you can change it if you want to. But that comments box then becomes required as, we want you to tell us about kind of what happened, like, because you still have to, submit a report. So either on this page or the next one, you'll have buttons here that say save or submit for org review. Same thing down here. So I'll show here. Saving it will turn it into a draft, which you can then go back on the previous page and click on it and edit it again. Submitting it for a review, we'll just do the submitting process. So we'll just say we're clicking one of these and we're going to go down to this page. And so any and all of the results that have been added either as draft or submitted form will show up in this page here. And they'll just keep adding to this list as long as the project exists. We know that some projects can go on for quite a long time, which is why the results is in this nice drop-down box. So if you want to be looking at the project and not the results, you can either open or close that for ease of use. But that's the results flow. I know we had 30 minutes, but it's not super complicated. Some of the other things that we're working on is integrating this into some of the other pages on the site as well. Primarily the critical issues page. So we'll be working on that kind of in the future, but this is what we're focusing on here at the moment. Erin, Craig, or Lynn, did I miss anything? Or anything to add?
No, I think you got it, but we do have questions, so.
Of course.
Yeah, and I think while you're on this one, Ronnie, I think just to highlight the interaction, because I think that's some of the questions here. So you'll start off on a page this year that will have no results. Ronnie showed you that one before. And so when we deploy this in a few months, all projects will look like this, right? And you'll have the PD or org admins will have the ability to go in, click the add result button, and then you'll see the screen and record your first result. For research projects, this should be pretty close to what they're used to doing in progress reports. For extension, obviously, we're defining new territory here. So you're going to have to think through what level of result you're reporting, how many you might want to have, because you could have multiple, depending on the scale of your project. You'll need to look at the questions themselves and see what lends itself well to this year's paradigm. And we know over the time from year to year, we'll think this through and come up with a great practice that works for you. When you hit the page and you create the draft, it will appear here as a draft, okay? It will go through the same steps to going through to, your org review for approval. And that's the juncture at which for Hatch, Evans Allen, Smith Lever, and 1890 extension, those 4 things will then be pulled into the annual report, which we will talk about later. But just think about getting the results into org review is the starting point for how it's thought of for the annual report. But each result can go through a full review with NIFA.
Aaron, this is Paul Brown from Auburn University, and I think just a point of clarity, I think this would be helpful to everybody, but if I remember right, last spring, each 1862 institution was asked to put in one program or project. So what we saw today would be what we would go in and then look at how we would report the results for that one particular project.
Right. For extension, exactly right.
Right. Okay. Then the other question, Aaron, thinking about the, moving forward, and putting more projects in, which would be related to, the upcoming plan of work. When do you see that happening? I mean, when is that step going to take place so that ultimately, whether it's 22 or 23, that we come in and we do all of our reporting in this fashion?
Right. So, yeah, the intent was that you would have full representation on your extension programs. So let's work backwards from last year. Mm-hmm. When your annual report last year, right, you were describing an entire, portfolio of extension work, right? If you were to repeat that exercise this year in NRS, you would want to make sure that those results have a home in an extension program. If you don't have that extension program, Lynn, feel free to jump in, but our recommendation would be to go ahead and capture that here to make it a little bit more clear that that's an extension program, and then that's the result that goes with it. It's not it's also flexible enough, the system, to allow you to just write a result based on extension work for the critical issue. But I think the rightful place is to have an extension program and the result to map underneath that. So if you don't have them, create them.
Yeah. And so for 2021, what we'll do is we'll go in and put the results in for the one project or program that we put into the new system last spring. But then we will also continue to go ahead and put together our annual report of accomplishments like we've done in the past.
Yeah, and then you're going to be moving into the plan of work directly after this exercise, right? So it's at that point, at the latest is where I would say you would want to establish those programs inside the system.
Yes, okay. And then in the future, then this will be our reporting mechanism, or we will also have put together an annual report of accomplishments?
Right. You would do both.
We would do. Okay. All right. Okay.
So think about so we started in the middle in a way for the plan of work itself. Like the plan of work exists in the institutional profile where you establish critical issues. And we didn't pay as much attention to the extension programs in that module until they came into NRS. So now that they are able to be recorded in NRS, when you do your plan of work for 2023, right? That's when you want to bring the whole piece, all the pieces together. So if you don't have extension programs representing all of the things, all of the areas that you're covering, you'd want to establish them at the latest for that time period, which is, next year.
So this is Lynn. We recommended that Extension keep their initiations at a higher level for multiple reasons. One, initiating a program is something you haven't done before. You know, this is familiar to research, but not to Extension. I also wanted you guys to keep your options open. So as we develop this form and the subsequent annual reporting workflow, it gives you room, flexibility to play with it, figure out at what level do you dissect your programs. You know, does reporting at the critical issue level work for what you do on the Extension side? Do you want to divide those critical issues into smaller pieces and tell that story? So, you know, play with the system this year for the first time, but just make sure that anything you want to report in the upcoming annual report is in here as a Extension program initiation. So you can report results against it, and then we will roll it up into the annual report, which you guys haven't seen that yet. We're still finalizing those details. Ronnie's been doing a lot of feedback. So that will be the next piece that you guys will see. But this is the building block of that annual report.
So you think Deborah wants this?
I say do all of them.
You
Okay,
guys,
this,
somebody's
this.
not.
The only one
Hold
that you
on.
need to take out is delete.
All right, I have just muted everyone. So Ronnie and Aaron, you'll have to unmute yourselves if you want to talk. Yeah, so that was our advice on Extension. I think it'll work for a lot of you. Some of you have divided your critical issues into smaller pieces, but if you've left it at the critical issue level, this format will work for you as well.
So just to review, I'm trying to keep an eye on chat. So this year, all your results go into NRS. They can be mapped to your projects and programs directly. They can also be mapped directly to your critical issue. If you have a one-to-one mapping between your critical issue and your Extension program, as many people did, that's absolutely fine. Your result is really one thing for each level. I mean, it's all considered together. So if you want to use that naming convention to be the same as your title all the way through, that should be just fine. We have the fiscal year designation to understand which year that's the particulars of that are, and that will help over time. But we'll have another cut at this when we look at the annual report building process, which is happening in NRS. It starts, you know, largely with this as the building blocks, as Lynn and Ronnie have said. So get your results into the system when the form becomes available. For research, this is probably very similar to past experiences. For Extension, obviously, there's going to be some adjustment and some thinking through what's best for your institution. And we hope you see that there's plenty of flexibility built in for you to come up with the right solution.
Okay, we have a couple of people who misheard you, Aaron, on the release dates. So we are planning on getting this form into the NRS and available to you all the first week of February. We are giving you 2 months to get the results entered. And then in that period, we will have the workflow for the annual report roll-up done. We will be showing that to you and working through that with you guys. And then we're aiming to have the annual reports all done by May 1st. So we pushed the deadlines to accommodate this. We had hoped to get this done earlier, but we had some other things internal to NIFA that we had to deliver. So we're always, you know, rearranging our priorities to meet all of our different user groups. So we're a little behind from what we wanted to be, but we've cleared these changes in dates with our awards management people. We will not put your fourth quarter funding in jeopardy. That is tied to the annual report submission. So just remember the progress, what was the progress report, which we're now calling results, is now due April 1st. No, wait, do I have that right, Aaron? Correct me.
I think I've got it. Okay.
Okay.
So we do have a transition situation here. So we have sent out the publication on this twice now. The latest came from Lynn, I think it was
Yesterday.
So that's the latest version, but here it is. If you have a project that is completing in FY21, meaning closed by September 30th of this year, you finish that project out and the progress report in REEport according to the current deadline, March 1st. That's only for projects closing ending, right? Now, all of those projects that have carried over to NRS that are still active and have an end date later than that, you will do your result in this system, and to accommodate the release time frame and give you plenty of time to do that, that due date is now April 1st for the results. Results are like progress reports. Then the annual report of accomplishments and results that apply to the plan of work for Hatch, Evans Allen, Smith Lever, and 1890 extension for just those 4 capacity types. The annual report for that, annual report of accomplishments and results, those are due on May the 2nd, which is a Monday.
You know, Aaron, this is Paul again, and I'm sorry for kind of monopolizing here, but I think sometimes if we ask it questions from how we're coming from the field, it sometimes helps us bridge the gap. But you know, the idea would be is that one of the things that we've done here in Alabama Extension is that we have taken those 4 questions and we've asked all of our project leads, you know, to begin to summarize that information, which ultimately would have gone into, you know, how we configured the annual report of accomplishments last year, you know. So are you saying that we would take that results information that we're getting from each of those individual projects and put them into this new system?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And then that automatic will that roll up into the annual report of accomplishments automatically? Yeah. Is that enough step that we have to do?
Exactly right. So
okay. All right.
For if it helps, we have, go ahead, Ronnie. You probably are thinking the same thing I am.
I think so too. So a lot of the stuff around how the results are going to roll up into the annual report is still, I'm still working on designing it actively. And the hope is that by putting in the results into the system, effectively your annual report will be built for you. You'll have to go in and like review everything, and you'll have the ability to change things as needed. But as far, and Aaron, please stop me talking if I'm not saying the right thing, but as far as I'm aware, we're trying to help you get this annual report out quicker and faster.
Okay, there was great. This is something we've all needed because I think, you know, it's making sense. We gather that information, we put it in this system. That's our big responsibility. That has to be done by what date? Again, February 1st.
So you need to get the results in. Go ahead, Lynn.
Yeah, we're releasing it to you guys that first of February.
Yes. Okay.
And we of course will announce it. We'll have a webinar way before that. So, and then we would like all the results to be in the system by April 1st. Mm-hmm. Then we are going to finalize the annual report build-up piece for the plan of work capacity programs by the end of March. That's our target date for getting that piece done. And then we will work with you guys to do those roll-ups of the annual reports and get those finalized by May 2nd so the NIFA folks can review them.
Well, Lynn, that's extremely helpful. That helps all of us kind of picture what this path is going to mean and how we're going to be able to take our information that we're gathering now, put it into the system. And it's making a lot more sense than I think it did last week, and maybe where we started this afternoon. So thank you.
Yeah,
There
and
was
that's why we wanted to show you the visual, because thinking about it doesn't always make sense. So we thought if you could see the visual, it would help you guys and ease some of your anxiety. What we're trying to do, like Ronnie said, really reduce that burden of the annual report. So you can shift your focus to getting the pieces in the system. Then we'll let the technology do that heavy lifting of putting the report together.
Great. There's a question in the chat. There are quite a few questions in the chat, Lynn, so it might be time to flip over there. But I think Lynn Laws had a question that is kind of addressed by this. The question was, if I have 3 results to submit in 2021, do I submit 3 annual reports? So if your results are associated with just this, if you can have multiple results, the system, as Ronnie is showing in the screen here, you can add multiple results to a single project. When it comes time to generate your annual report, what Ronnie has designed will allow you to select just the results that you want to share, and you will be able to import those into your annual report.
Craig, I think this is Lynn, I phrased my question wrong, because
Okay.
I used annual report in the sense of progress report, not my college report.
Sure thing.
Sorry. Yeah, I just want to know if I have 3 major significant results to report for 2021, then can I put in 3 different reports?
Yeah, you can add.
Results for the same fiscal year, or will the system prevent me from doing one if I already have one in for 2021?
No, you'll be able to add. You'll be able to add multiple.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Greg, this is Nav from Idaho. Just one quick question. So we are not going to report the 2021. We are not going to submit 2021 annual report in NIFA Confluence anymore.
No. I'm done with manually processing those annual reports.
We're going to submit on. And we really like this because there is a lot of research of NIFA funded projects that can get a chance to get here. So this is much better with the detail, but is there a granted, or we have to put all those results for every single research projects, or only the best we think has the best impact?
So you are obligated to report against any project that you initiated, like you did in REEport. Now we do have the option that if you don't have results to report, you check that box. It takes you over to that open text box where you can explain why you didn't have results. You're in your first year, COVID hit, you couldn't get out in the field, whatever the reason might be, just like you did in REEport. So if you initiated a project, we expect you to take action on that initiation, either checking that box or filling in those 4 questions. Then once all of that is in, you will have the option of selecting which results are ready for the annual report. Like in the past, we really want the annual report to be the best, really reflect well on your universities and the great things you're doing for the people in your states. Our NIFA staff can still go in and look at these other projects that maybe weren't ready for the annual report. It's still in there, but the annual report, like in the past, will be reflective of your best work.
So we have to report extension separately, right? I think there's somewhere in the system, we have to report extension educational program separately, plus this research project separately.
Yeah, extension is also initiated, and that's what I was saying earlier. If you want to if you have a critical issue or a piece of that critical issue that you want to report against, that has to be in the system. So, all right, so let's make sure we just hit on the general questions. Where's my chat field? I've lost my chat. Aaron, I've literally lost my chat.
It's okay. So just in terms of there are four questions that have to be answered. We're going to give you the same kind of space that we have in most of the text boxes in your initiation. So I think it's around 8,000 characters with some flexibility built in, because we know we've had this issue where you copy and paste text in and your character count doesn't match that of our system. So there's flexibility there. But that 8,000 is plenty of room to, I think, delineate the four main areas for those questions. We also have a fifth element called comments. Under the comments, you provide additional details. There are some specific things, especially that research side is familiar with, that relate to the RPPR requirements, training opportunities, things that you plan to do next year. So you're welcome to put that in. We make it optional if you're recording results. But obviously, if you're saying there's not anything significant to report, we make it required that you put some comment into that box. So that's the interplay there. But those are the only things there other than that title and the fiscal year. We understand title might be, something you have to wrestle with. The reason it's there is if you did have multiple results, you'll be able to distinguish them. And if you can think about it from another perspective of a state that has multiple institutions, right? If you're sharing the same title for a program, being able to understand which result belonged to which institution could be important to them. So this will help structure that. Again, some of these things will be more evident when you see the annual report builder and that process. And so we'll be working with you on that. But that is it.
And we would like publications to be put into that comment box. We'll eventually build a field for publications so that it's usable data. But we're waiting, as I've said before, we're waiting for permission from the Office of Management and Budget to ask for the publication DOI for peer-reviewed journals. So we don't have that permission yet. If you would like to give us the DOI in that comment box instead of the full text citation, feel free. I just can't officially make that switch from the full text over to the DOI. Sunshine Jordan at University of Georgia shared her data set with us, and she's estimating that roughly 80% of the journals that they report have a DOI. So if that's widespread applicable data set, I'm optimistic that we can really bring that publication input burden down for you guys. That's our long-term hope. Patents, we will get that information eventually from iEdison. We're in touch with them. We will build an API. So you don't need to give us the patent disclosures. That's just double reporting. So yes, we will develop a guide. I'll probably work on that over the holiday. Kippy's been a great help in helping getting that put together. So we'll get something out for you guys like we did in the past, additional guidance on how to complete these forms.
Well, and I think we've generated a lot of good interest here, but I just wanted to point out, Lynn, I think we were going to try to keep this one to about a half an hour. We're a little bit over that.
Yeah.
I don't want to one off, but I do think that there's more to come. I think people are asking, when are things coming? When are we going to be able to talk more about this? Where do we get resources? So the first part of the answer is we will have more webinars again in January. We'll be discussing what the annual report process will look like again, as well as answer questions about this exact topic. And then I think we'll take what's in the chat if we haven't addressed it and try to get some solid answers, put it onto the agenda for the upcoming. Yes, I certainly can appreciate that this is a big change for everyone, but we're going to be there through the journey with you. So we appreciate your patience and we hope to get you the information you need just as you need it. And we will be producing some materials that should be helpful to you as well. And hopefully the recordings on this webinar can also be shared as needed.
Yes, and yes, I'll get it posted and we'll share what you guys saw today. So keep your eyes out for an email from me, probably, today's Thursday, Friday, probably Monday. I've got some other fires to put out, but look for it shortly. All right, thank you all for coming. Everyone have a happy holiday, stay safe, stay healthy. We've got an exciting few months in the spring to roll this out and see how you guys engage with the system and see if we're actually reducing the burden we had promised that we would do. So, all right, thank you all very much.
Thank you, Lynn.